So I think that this might be my most popular question I get, which is how many calories did I eat to lose 40 pounds on a plant-based diet? So today we are going to be getting into it. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Stasia, and like I just mentioned, I've recently lost 40 pounds following a plant-based diet, which that was a long time coming because I've struggled for many years to get the weight off. So it wasn't until recently that I changed a few things, and finally, the weight is coming off. One of my more popular common questions that I get in my comment box below on my videos, or I've even had people DM me asking me, is how many calories am I eating and do I count my calories? But in all honesty, it's a fair question. So to answer the first one, no, I did not track any calories while losing this 40 pounds at all. Later in the video, I will be explaining exactly what I did instead of counting calories. However, because so many of you have been so curious about what my calorie range has been to get this weight off, kind of actually got me a little bit curious, if I'm being honest. So what I did was I tracked my food for 3 days. I didn't change anything at all. I just inputted the information into a calorie tracker on my phone. And so I did that for 3 days. So that's what I'm going to be discussing in today's video. I'm going to be sharing those results and giving those of you who have asked an idea of how many calories I have been eating to get this weight off. But before we jump into the video, I have a really exciting holiday announcement. I am bringing back the $5 sale, and that is that all of my weight loss recipe ebooks are on sale for only $5. Yes, that includes even my brand new weight loss recipe ebook, which this one is pretty much the blueprint to how I got the weight off, because I had stopped eating any overt fats, breads, or pastas, and this book here doesn't include any of those things in any of the recipes. So even my new one is on sale for $5, as well as I also have a holiday bundle special that all 3 of my books are on sale for only $10. So that's less than the cost of one of my books. So there are lots of different ways to save some serious money if you are in need of some more oil-free, whole food, plant-based recipes that will support you in your weight loss journey, because these are the exact same recipes that I was eating to get this weight off, and the same recipes I'm still eating to get the rest of the weight off. So if you'd like to check out that sale, then I will have the links to all of my books posted in my description box below. All right, so let's get into it. So the burning question was, how many calories did I eat to lose 40 pounds on a plant-based diet? So I had tracked my calories over a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. Like I mentioned before, I didn't change anything at all. And the results were that on the first day, I clocked in at 1,687 calories. The second day, I clocked in at only 1,432 calories. And the third day, I actually clocked in just over 1,700 calories. So it was a bit of a range there. And what I will say is this, that if I had to have guessed before I actually tracked the calories, how many calories I was eating, I would have probably actually guessed somewhere within that range. So on average, between those 3 days, it works out to be about 1,500 to 1,600 calories. But I guess the important thing worth pointing out is that, even within those 3 days, there was such a range for me. And it just goes to show that we don't always eat the exact same amount of calories every single day because our needs change, right? So some days I might not be as active and therefore might not be as hungry, or maybe I just chose better filling foods that I actually didn't require as much food. So it was a little bit interesting to me to see that, on the first day it was 1600s, and then the second day, I dipped right down to the 1400s, and then by the third day I was in the 1700s. And even that's interesting in itself, because perhaps maybe on that 1700 calorie day, maybe my body was just making up for my lower calorie day that I had the day before. So you can see how the body has different needs day to day. Now, obviously I wasn't tracking my entire weight loss journey, so, it's not exactly accurate to say that I was eating 1,500 to 1,600 calories, somewhere within that ballpark. Obviously that was just a snapshot of, 3 days of my meals. So we're just going to take the average, and that's the best that I can offer just because I haven't actually been tracking my calories. But with that being said, that is a good point that I want to raise, is that I haven't been tracking my calories at all, and I was still able to get 40 pounds off. Now, I do have a lot of videos that I've made recently going into more detail about the specifics of what I did to lose this weight. So if you're interested in knowing that, then I will have a few videos posted in my description box below that I would encourage you to check those ones out if you're interested in learning more about my weight loss journey. But either way, today's video, I will be touching on a few of those things. So while the act of calorie counting is literally just a matter of preference, it's just a weight loss tool. So some people hate it, some people love it, and then there's people in between. So for me, it's a non-issue. It's not up for debate. It's neither here nor there. However, what I do want to point out is the fact that you don't have to count calories to lose weight. And there's a slightly easier way to lose weight without having to track, and that is calorie density. Okay, so while we don't need to count calories to lose weight, what we do need to do is make sure that we're in a calorie deficit. So I think there's a little bit of confusion over this sometimes, because some of you who are really against counting calories, especially, it's kind of a taboo topic in the plant-based community to count calories because we don't need to count calories. Well, no, technically we don't need to, but I still think we should be respectful of people who do prefer to count calories, because it's really none of our business and it's really not that big of a deal either way. However, it is nice that eating this way, we don't have to track them, and we can still have a lot of success with weight loss. And some would argue that even in a more easy and sustainable way. But not tracking calories and not being aware at all of whether or not you're in a calorie deficit are two different things. So you definitely have to be sure that you are in a calorie deficit if you are looking to lose weight. So I know that there are also a lot of misconceptions within the plant-based community that we can eat as much as we want, as long as it's healthy, as long as it's oil-free. And this was actually one of the roadblocks for me in my weight loss journey, is that I was one of those people that truly believed that as long as I was eating, potatoes or sweet potatoes that had no oil or butter or all the extras on it, that I would lose weight easily. And that just was not the case for me. So while everybody is different, I feel like some do say that they've had success by just eating, as much as they want and the weight just fell off. And that's wonderful for them. However, that may not be the case for all of us. Okay, so then the next question you might be thinking about is, well, how do I know that I'm in a calorie deficit, or how do I get myself into a calorie deficit if I'm not tracking calories? So the way that we do that is that we reduce the calorie density in every single meal that we eat. And this was something that I did personally to get the weight off, is that I started to look at every single meal, like how can I reduce the overall calorie density while still feeling full, still feeling satisfied. So we're not talking about going into starvation mode and not eating enough food, but to figure out that sweet spot that you've had enough while at the same time getting yourself in a calorie deficit so that the weight starts to come off. So there are a few little hacks that I personally have done along the way that has been obviously super helpful in helping me to get the weight off. So I will be mentioning a couple of those a little bit later in this video. But the next thing I want to talk about is another way that I was able to reduce my overall calorie density of my meals. And for those of you who are following me, you can already guess what that is. And that was to eliminate my overt fats. So my overt fats were things such as nuts, seeds, avocados, and of course already omitting oil out of any of my cooking or my diet. So by eliminating those overt fats, automatically the calorie density was reduced. Because when you're looking at using a dressing or sauce that, let's say, was made using nuts or seeds, versus a sauce or dressing that has no nuts or seeds, there's going to be a huge calorie difference. And that is one of the things that I've done. So all of my sauces and dressings that I was using before that had nuts and seeds, I've swapped it out by using beans instead. So I've reduced that overall calorie density of the meal just by that single switch alone. By not adding avocados to my salad, or sitting down to some guacamole, or adding seeds to my salad, those types of things, you would be surprised how much they add up and end up increasing that calorie density. But I do want to say that this is just what's worked for me. I'm not suggesting that this is something that everybody should do, but this is just something that happened to work for me kind of by fluke, because I was eliminating those overt fats due to some gallbladder issues I was having. And then, the weight loss and everything just came as a huge, lovely, welcomed side effect. And then I just carried on with it, and I've been doing well ever since. And I always like to stress that I'm not talking from a nutrition standpoint, because nuts, seeds, avocados are beautiful plant-based foods that offer the body a lot of nutrition. I am strictly speaking from a weight loss perspective only. So I believe that by omitting those overt fats, what I did essentially was put myself into a calorie deficit, because I'm still eating a lot of the same foods that I was eating before, the potatoes and the rice and my salads and smoothies and that type of thing. But just by eliminating those fats, it's maybe all that I needed just to get me exactly where I needed to be in fat burning mode rather than staying in a plateau. Another thing that I did to reduce my daily overall caloric intake was to focus on eating meals that were actually going to gonna keep me full. So while up front that might feel like, well, wouldn't you be eating more calories in that meal? Yes, perhaps that's true. But what ends up happening as a result is that I stay fuller longer. So my need to snack a lot in the day, which I used to be a horrible snacker, it's pretty much non-existent now because I make sure that my meals fill me up and fill me up enough to actually carry me until my next meal. Okay, so another thing to ask yourself, to make sure that you're doing everything you can to get yourself into that calorie deficit is, are you drinking your calories? Now, I know coffee is a huge one. It's a huge, huge one that a lot of people also ask that question, do I drink coffee? Is it okay to drink coffee? So me personally, I've never been a coffee drinker in my life. So that hasn't fortunately been an issue for me. I actually can't have the caffeine, nor have I ever wanted it even when I could have the caffeine before. So for me, coffee hasn't been an issue. However, I actually like the taste of coffee. So I will occasionally have a decaf coffee and, it hasn't really affected my weight loss goals at all. But for me, the coffee is more kind of like an occasional treat. Whereas I know for a lot of you out there, a coffee is a daily thing or sometimes, a few times a day type of treat. So this might be an area that you really need to look at. If you're not having a coffee that's black, if you're adding a bunch of other things to it, even if it's vegan or plant-based, then that could be the very thing keeping you in a calorie surplus. The unfortunate thing about liquid calories is that they don't fill us up and that they add up so darn quickly. They really do contribute to that overall calorie intake. So if you are drinking your calories in the way of, pop, or teas with cream or coffees with cream or any type of drink that you're adding calories to your overall daily amount of calories, that could be the very thing putting you over. So if drinking your calories is a thing, then that might be something else that you can look at by either eliminating them or really, really reducing it so that they're no longer contributing to your overall daily caloric intake. And hopefully by taking them out or reducing them, that will get you where you need to be in fat burning mode. Okay, and the next one I already touched on, and that is snacking. So a lot of you who follow me, I have touched on whether or not I snacked during my 40-pound weight loss. And the answer is yes and no. So what I mean by that is yes, if I needed a snack, I would have a snack. But the key word in that statement is need, because I used to be a serial snacker, like just snacking because I was bored, because I was tired, because I was emotional, because I was stressed. Oh my gosh, there's probably more things we can add to that list. I used to be horrible with snacking, and I was never really snacking because I actually needed a snack. So now I really stop myself dead in my tracks and I ask myself, are you hungry? Do you need a snack to get you through to the next meal? And if the answer to that is truly, genuinely yes, no problem, I give myself a snack. So this is not about starvation mode. This is more about listening to those hunger and fullness cues and really honoring them, not just eating for all those other reasons that I just said. Snacking is another thing that will definitely put you in a calorie surplus and keep your weight plateauing, or even worse, have you gaining weight. Because I remember even thinking in my mind, just this little bite of this or a little bite of that is really not making that big of a difference. And that mindset was something that I really struggled with, like the whole minimizing my actions and thinking that they really didn't make that big of a deal, when in fact they were the very reason that I wasn't losing weight. So they were the biggest deal. And that's precisely what my message in this video is today, is that we have to be aware of those calories because they do matter. Whether we track them or not, they still exist, and we need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose the weight. So when it comes to snacking, just really watch yourself with that. Really check in with yourself. Do you need a snack, or are you just snacking because of all of those other things that I used to snack because of? And I guarantee you that's going to help you in your weight loss journey, because you have to think every action that you do every day, every meal, every snack, everything you put in your mouth contributes to your overall caloric intake for that day. So we want to be in fat burning mode. So just check yourself, make sure that you're eating those snacks because you're truly hungry and for no other reason. All right, so as promised, like I said earlier in the video, I'm just gonna touch on a few different hacks that I do when it comes to trying to reduce my overall calorie density at every single meal. All right, so when I'm eating now, these are some of the questions that I ask myself or that run through my mind. So if I have my plate of food and let's say that I just put dressing on something, on a salad, I will start off small and then ask myself, do I really need more sauce or dressing, right? Because again, that sauce or dressing could be an additional 50 calories, for example, that I really didn't need because maybe I was already satisfied with what I had. But the old me never thought like this. So the old me would just, pour the sauce on mindlessly without giving any attention to how much, and just think that that was okay because it was healthy. But no, we have to shift that thinking, and you need to ask yourself, is this amount good enough? Do I really need to add the extra amount of sauce that maybe you would have added before? Stuff like that. And that right there could save you, 50 calories or more. The other thing I started doing was asking myself, do I need to finish every last bite on my plate? I have talked about this in some of my other videos because this is, an old school way of teaching. And if you're around my age, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We were raised with our parents down our throats about finishing every single bite before we could get up from the table, or else we're going to bed hungry, or else we're going to be in trouble, So this was how a lot of us were brought up, including myself. So we carry that with us now, sometimes as adults when we're eating, that we feel this need to not be wasteful, to make sure that we don't get up with an unfinished plate. This is kind of something that I've had to work on and do a lot of undoing as far as those teachings, because I swear I can still hear my dad in my ear. So I really started to ask myself, do I need to finish every single bite left on this plate? Have I had enough? And it's not about just ditching it in the garbage. We don't need to be wasteful. So ways around that is start by serving yourself a smaller portion and telling yourself, yeah, you're welcome to have more if you're truly actually hungry. Or if I've already served myself too much, then who doesn't love delicious leftovers the next day? You can just wrap it up and put it in the fridge. And that's something that I do. So just because it's in front of me doesn't mean I have to eat it. And this took a while for that to click for me, because before, if food or snacks or anything was in front of me that was delicious, I was eating it just to eat it. So that really does take some work, but it can be done because I have changed my mindset on the way that I see food when it's in front of me. And believe me, I was the worst for this stuff. So if I can do it, you can do it too. So next time you're sitting at your meal, ask yourself, do you need to finish every single bite, or have you already had enough where you're feeling good? And the next thing I'm going to suggest is something that I do, might be controversial, might not work for you, but when it comes to eating starch and how much starch, I used to think that I could eat as much as I want and it would keep me in a calorie deficit and I would lose weight because there was no oil or no crazy toppings on top of it. But that didn't really work out for me. So instead, my mindset now is, if I'm still hungry, can I have more non-starchy veggies rather than going back for a second helping of starches? And that has worked out perfect for me, like to the point that it carries me through to the next meal. So clearly there's no issue there with, being hungry in between meals because I didn't have enough starch. So I guess, that one can be a little bit tricky because you do need to have a certain amount of starch in order to stay full. You cannot stay full on non-starchy vegetables. I'm just going to throw that out there now. So don't even bother trying it, because non-starchy veggies only have about 100 calories per pound. They will be burned off within 45 minutes. So you absolutely need your starch to keep you full, but you do need to kind of figure out that sweet spot for yourself. Is how much starch do you need? So that you're not overdoing it with the starch, but you're also not underdoing it as well. By going back for a second helping of non-starchy veggies versus the starchy, then you are really reducing the overall calorie density once again of that meal. And I would encourage you to try it that way, because honestly, I didn't really see that big of a difference. If I'm still hungry, I grab the non-starchy veggies and I'm good to go until my next meal. So I don't actually need a second helping of that starch. So I don't know if any of you guys do it like that as well. If you do, you can let me know in the comments. But that is something that I've done. Rather than going back for seconds of starch and non-starchy, I just go back for seconds of non-starchy if I'm still hungry, and it's obviously working. Okay, and another thing is just our food choices in general, reducing that overall calorie density of a meal. So for example, if I'm hungry and I wanted a snack and I needed something heavier for a snack, then, I could have the choice of making some toast or making some sweet potato spears. Now, this is something I've shown in my more recent videos. I love cold sweet potatoes, actually. Like, who would have thought? I had no idea. But anyways, I love pulling them out of my fridge and just putting some cinnamon on top or some garlic salt, depending if I want kind of more sweet or savory. And they're incredible. And they do a better job at keeping me fuller than a piece of toast ever will. Piece of toast feels great going down. I like a good piece of toast, but it just doesn't keep me full. So I really found that when I end up switching over to wet starches versus those dry starches, it kept me fuller for longer. So while the calories in themselves might be pretty similar, keeping me fuller longer is where the calorie density is going to start to work its magic, because I'm not going to be needing to snack. Maybe after the toast, like 45 minutes or an hour later, I'm going to need something else, or I'm going to be ready to eat my meal. But those sweet potatoes, maybe they're going to be good enough to keep me full for 2 hours or so, so there's the difference, is that, we got to be more particular about our choices of food, even if they contain a similar amount of calories. Is one going to keep you sustained longer than the other? Because go with the one that's going to keep you sustained, because that's going to help you to stay full, therefore eat less, and therefore your overall calories in a day are going to be lower. A lot of you know that the key ingredient to my weight loss has been my fiber protein shakes. Now, I cannot stress this enough. I love these shakes. I'm still having them all the time, mostly for my breakfast, sometimes even for a snack. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, these fiber protein shakes are incredible. I will leave a video linked in my description box below, and you can check out that video, and it shows all of the different shakes that I've been drinking to get this weight off. They also are included in my brand new weight loss recipe ebook. I have 7 recipes, one for every day of the week. Drink them all or just drink your favorite one, doesn't really matter. They all have been incredible for my weight loss journey because I love the taste, with flavors like birthday cake, Reese's Pieces Buttercup, Snickers. I absolutely love them. I designed them to taste really, really good. But more importantly, I designed them to be filling. So I drink one of these and I am not full for hours. So I want to compare that to if I was having like a fruit smoothie. Maybe before, in my past, when I was just starting my plant-based diet, I would have thought that maybe a fruit smoothie was an excellent choice because it is a huge step up from having a chocolate bar. But, in terms of, is it the best option that we can be having, to keep ourselves full so that we're not eating or snacking all day long? Probably not. So with my fiber protein shakes, they are designed to keep me full. So I think that that's one of the reasons that they've worked out so well, because one of the worst parts about losing weight is the fear of being hungry, or should I say the feeling of being hungry. No one wants to starve. And a lot of times we feel like we need to be hungry in order to get the weight off. But I promise you, I have not been hungry at all while getting this 40 pounds off. So there's no reason that you need to be either. All right, everyone, so I'm going to leave the video here. I hope that shed a little bit of light on it for you as far as, to track calories, to not track calories, roughly how many calories I was eating, but even more importantly, how I was able to reduce my overall calorie density in my meals and reduce my overall calories in the course of a day to get myself into that calorie deficit to finally start losing the weight. Now, the great thing about this is that you can start implementing any of those things that I was talking about today exactly where you are in your journey right now. So if you are currently plateaued, maybe you're just new to a plant-based diet, maybe you're restarting all over again, wherever you are, you can make this start happening at your very next meal. So just have me, on your little shoulder when you're eating your meal the next time, not in a creepy way, but in a helpful way, and just remember, ask yourself those questions. Have I had enough? Do I need to finish this last bite? If I'm going back for more, can I possibly have some non-starchy veggies rather than some more starch? There's lots of little hacks and lots of little things, and you would be surprised how those little actions add up to big results. I hope all of you guys are staying on track and doing really good. I know the holidays can be a little bit challenging for all of us. It gets the best of us. It's really hard because we have a lot more temptation than we do in ordinary life, right? We have it around us a lot. So I hope that all of you are staying strong and putting foods in your body that serve you and that don't hurt you. But I'm gonna pause it right there and just say this. If you fall off track, if you eat foods that you probably shouldn't be eating, please do not beat yourself up over it. Because we are still living life. Food is not, our God. Food is not the end all and be all. I mean, in some ways it is for survival, but you know what I mean. Please don't beat yourself up too hard. Do the best that you can. If you fall off track, get on track your very next meal. You don't need to wait till Monday. You don't even need to wait till tomorrow. You can just get back on track your very next meal, but don't give yourself too hard of a time about it. It's not the 1 slip up or 2 slip ups or even 10 slip ups that's gonna determine whether or not you're gonna succeed in your weight loss journey. I've had plenty of slip ups, like the queen of slip ups, and I'm still able to get this weight off. So just trust me when I say it's the consistency of what we do the majority of the time that gets the results. So try not to be too hard on yourself and enjoy yourself in hopefully the most healthy way that you can. All right, everyone. So again, if you are serious about getting this weight off, especially with the new year around the corner and you're in need of some more oil-free, whole food, plant-based recipes that can get you there the same way that they have got me there, then I would really recommend taking advantage of this sale because it will not last forever. It's $5, just $5 on all of my books. So take advantage of it while the discount is this steep. So if you want to check out those books, then the link will be found in my description box below. Also, if you're new to my channel and you are also on a weight loss journey and you want to follow along mine, then I would love to have you stick around. So be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and we will see you in the next one.